was just 2 roads going like dirt roads almost, and a taxi driver trying to kill you at any given moment. This is what it was like. It was very barren, you know. But it was, once you got to space, it was just a great feeling. I really enjoyed it. But then I put an album out called Fact, Future Alliance of Communication and Technology. This came out in 1995, 96 through React Records. And React were going there every year. They spoke to Pepe about releasing the album at Space. And we have a few DJs that would like to play, me being one of them. When I got to play, Pepe and at the time Fitz Pangratz, who was managing the place, saw me, saw my attributes, saw what I could do. So they saw who I was like as a person, and they decided right then that I should be doing the opening parties and the closing parties at Space. 1996. I'm like, wow, what an honor! This is brilliant, you know.
Yeah, so I would have said the same thing. Oh my God, really?
I'm like, what, me?
Yeah, me?
All the DJs you could have asked, and you asking me. I was like very honored.
Well, I can see why, brother. I can see why. Come on, you really.
They saw it instantly that
you're also a party guy. I've seen the way you play. Your smile and your feeling emulates through the room. You don't even have to play a record, just the feeling you get. So I can imagine if they were looking like the way I saw it the same way. You know, like some DJs, bro, they're like, their heads are down, they look miserable. It's like, why? This is such a fantastic, it's not even a job. Why do you look like you hate what you're doing? But that's another story.
And that's it.
And it starts 96?
So 95, 96, I was playing at Space. I was doing the opening parties and the closing parties to predominantly Spanish people. Not English people, not German, not Dutch. Here I am, in the midst of all of this, with Pepe's people. In the end of the day, because the opening of parties at Space was an institution. It was all about now the island is open, and it was for the islanders and the people who worked there. It was for them. And the closing party was a celebration of the money that they made, and it was to give back to the workers who worked really hard at that place. So you can imagine. The party at the beginning was like, yes. And the party at the end was like, yes. So any music that you played, if you can get it correct, get it right, it was just magic. That's all I can say. Sun was up, you're out there, you're hearing this music, you're amongst people that are there because they feel it. There's a spirit, there's a vibe about it. That you couldn't emulate that hardly anywhere in the world. I think Ibiza was only place where you had the true spirit of people who love this music and like to be out there to show out with this sound. I mean, if you see some of the early tapes of Space and the people, what people were wearing, how they were feeling, they didn't care about anyone or anything else. I'm having a great time right now, right here. It's for me. And they dance crazy. They dance with hardly anything on. They dance with their feet, with their spirit and soul at that club. I've never seen anything like it. For me, I'm just like, this is great. To be able to play and DJ my music there was just a given. It was a given. So, but also had to play because all the Spanish DJs that were there at the time, DJ Pepe, DJ Caesar, Alfredo, the list goes on with Spanish DJs. They're fantastic. Great DJ. I only went there to compliment those DJs, always. And they know that, even still today. Jose Padilla, John Satrincha, always, and that's for me was always the love and respect for the Spanish DJs from Ibiza. So that was it. For me, it was just something of which I really felt special and honored based on my ability to connect, even though I don't speak hardly a word of Spanish whatsoever. And still today, I'm still terrible at it. But my music got the communication from my music brought us together. So when BBC Radio 1 at the time, around about 96, 97, they decided that they were coming to the island with BBC Radio 1, Pete Tong at the helm, to do their parties in the clubs. On the island, Amnesia, and I think at the time was Privilege. They did their road show there and everything, and they wanted an after party for their friends and certain people who won tickets, whatever, to enjoy the concept of what they've created. So they asked me. They know me very well, Pete Tong and Eddie Gordon at the time.
Oh yeah,
to create the space for them to enjoy themselves on a Sunday at Space. So they asked Pepe. Pepe said, "Yep, we'll have it on a Sunday, no problem. But we got no dance floor, no sound system." I said, "Don't worry, I'll sort it out." So I came down, had my the mobile disco head on. So I saw all the speakers that was in the kind of like dance floor area, but they had all the tables, the chairs and the cushions. I said, right, get rid of all those tables, the chairs, and cushions. This is going to be the dance floor. So where the original DJ booth was in the end of the day on the terrace, there was no booth there. So we had like a wallpaper paste table, which we covered in the space flags. And I said, get those turntables out the back of the bar, and we put them here, the mixer here, and we'll connect up these speakers, satellite speakers, and whatever we got, and we'll make this into the dance floor. 1,000 people turned up at that particular party. They weren't expecting any of it. That poor sound system was like
farting to death. Yes.
I was losing his shit. It's like, you're going to blow up the sound system. I said, I didn't know there's 1,000 people going to turn up. You've got no sound. Turn up the amps. You know,
you got nothing to do.
It's almost like Star Trek with Scotty. We got no more power, Captain. No more power. Just
Scotty, find power now. Like, you better go find power, right?
So Scotty, and we're like, the VU meters like
the VUs are like this. They're like that, right? They're just to the right and red. Just like everything's like red.
We fucking killed it. So that's when the penny dropped. That's where it went click. The terrace. So Pepe instantly made a DJ booth, got a bigger sound system, turned that bar area where the dance floor was into another bar area, made a bigger bar down where the bar was, and then put all the tables and the chairs down the other side, so this could be just dance floor. And I was playing there for 6 hours or 7 hours from the beginning until nearly close, and every time the terrace existed. And then eventually after 2 years, then it was the Sundays at Space with Cream coming in, James and blimey, my brain's gone. But anyway, those guys from Cream. Sorry?
James Barton from Cream, you talking about?
Yeah, James Barton, yeah, for sure. I'll remember his name.
We Love Space. We had We Love on the Sundays, I remember. And then Saturdays was, that other band from Barcelona, which I played.
Yeah, so you had, you had We Love, and then you had Barbara Tucker.
Yeah.
And they had the Mondays. You had the Carry On with Manny Mission on the Monday.
Carry On, Manny Mission, yeah.
Which was always something very special as well. But Space on that weekend was very much utilized with with the gay community as well as the straight community and club as a whole, and it started to really get momentum on what it stood for out of all the clubs anywhere in the world. And Space is still probably one of the most coveted clubs with the accolades that I think we've ever seen. They got like a whole cupboard just full of accolades based on where it ended up. But then to take that club take it further, in the end of the day, take it further, they needed to have something to happen inside of the club, because it was only the outside. And Pepe and Fritz at the time were like, what are we going to do here? So They asked me, would I like to take over the inside of the club on a Thursday night? And at that time, Darren Hughes, sorry, and I'm sorry, but it's okay. So it's Darren Hughes, and he's the man, Darren. You know what I mean? End of the day, I was there for his wedding, and at the time at Cream Liverpool. I missed a couple of events because of it, and I'll never forget it. But Sundays was down to James, and then eventually they split up, and then James Barton went to take Cream to Amnesia. So when I got asked to do Space on a Thursday, I was going up against Cream on a Thursday. I just said, no, it's impossible, because they're like a brand, and I'm Carl Cox. So, that's not possible. So we went our first night that we did with Lynn Cosgrave, a Safe House Management. We took over the club on a Thursday night for the first year, which is great, but we didn't want to battle with them in any way, shape, or form. So we took over Tuesdays. Now the thing is about Space at night time, There was no space. No one did anything in the night time at that club. So we started from absolute zero with that
Ground
club.
zero, right? Basically.
Ground zero. There was nothing going on in that club at all. We had to create everything from the beginning. And I really, and at the same time, I was still resident with Jim Masters and Trevor Rockcliffe in London on a Thursday night at Ultimate Bass. And the only reason why I stopped doing it was because I had this opportunity to play in Ibiza as a resident. So Jim and Trevor took over for a couple of years, and then eventually it stopped. But I carried on doing what I'm doing on the island. So the first year, 2001, was on a Thursday. The next year, we went from Thursday to Tuesdays, and then we were actually up against Darren Emerson at the time at Pasha. But we were two different styles of music anyway. But here I am at Space, and we had the original Terrace and we had the Discoteca. And I said to Pepe, and this is the story that it has been banded around a few times, I said, the only way you're going to get me to play inside this club is three things. I said, the first thing is that the toilets would always smell. I would hate the smell of the toilets, which was near the DJ booth where the lighting was. And so I said, if you clean the toilets up, that's one thing. I said, when the DJ booth is, or the lighting is, I said, that's in the wrong place. That needs to be up at the stage where it ended up being in the end. Which is a really big move for anyone to be take the DJ booth. Can you imagine all the wiring and everything that was down there? And I'm coming on and said, you need to move from there to there. They were like,
well, you know better than anybody else. You built sound. It's a lot of work doing electrical. It's a big job undertaking.
And then I said, and I said, this sound system is not that great. You know, it was really.
What do you mean? What do you mean, Carl? It's not great. I can hear them.
I said, it's screechy. No one. We were walking in the room and be like, because it'd be so loud, no bass. It was just like the wrong sound in that room. I said, you've got to get rid of that sound system. I said, these are the three things. And I did it because I didn't think they would do it.
And they did it.
And they did it. So the next year, I came back and said, okay, Carl, would you like to do our club? I said, we made a few changes. I said, oh, really? I said, yeah. So I went in there and said, toilets, sparkling. DJ booth, up the back. Sound system, the same sound system that I had at Pasha.
Right.
I had no choice but to play at Space. If they've gone that far, that extra mile, to give me what I asked for, in the end of the day, all I could do was give them my love and my loyalty towards what they believed it could be the club that it can be eventually in the end of the day. Now, not many people know this story, but they know it now. It's one of the reasons why I was there. There was no money to be earned at that club at that particular time because we had to build on everything. So it wasn't even about, oh, here you go, Carl, here's all this money, you're playing. We worked together on building that club and that club brand to where it ended up in the end of the day. I gave myself 5 years. 5 years in that club. I thought, okay.
Everybody playing Spanish, cinco
años.
How long did you give at the end? You gave yourself 5. What was the number that came back? 5.
16 years.
16, as I said. He did it 5, 10, 15 with the 1.
I'm like, 5 years came in, and then Tuesday nights at Space, Carl Cox, Tuesday nights like bang, 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 more cue. After 2 years, Pepe was like, right, I need to make the club bigger. So where the original terrace, Space Terrace was, they're going to uproot that terrace, move it around the corner inside the club area, and then basically recreate the same size of club in that original club size area, and they had to put the roof on the club and air condition it. So when I turned up the next year, Pepe goes, yeah, I've made a few changes, Carl. I walked in, I was like, Pepe, you've made another club within another club. I'm like, and you still got the terrace. It was hard enough getting more people to come into the inside and the terrace, because I used to play the terrace always to get introduced to people to come early, and then inside at 3:00 till close. Right. And we were building the club from 2,500 people to 3,000 to 4,000, 4,500 people. You know, for a couple of years, we were like, yes, we got the club full. And then Pepe makes his new club, which means we've got to find another 2,500 to 3,000 people more on top of what we already have. So I'm thinking, how are we going to get these extra people in? So we went another kind of conceptual route by introducing Giles Peterson to play, Goldie, we were Pendulum. We introduced drum and bass to the island through that room. So we had a different clientele coming in. So I always played the Space Terrace with the Spanish DJs, have Spanish DJs inside plus guests inside the discotheque, and it just grew exponentially. And then we turned the night into the Revolution, Carl Cox Revolution.
Yeah, I remember the Revolution. Yep.
Revolution on a Tuesday night at Space. And then, so that was like year 7. And then year 8, year 9, boom, 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 full, packed, get in there. Between 6,000 and 8,000 people every night. Bang, bang, bang. And I'm just thinking, oh, God, how long can this go on for? So year 8, year 9, happy birthday, 10 years of Space. I'm like, where did my life go? It's like,
right. Where did it go?
It's like 10 years. I'm like, the next year cannot be any better than what we've had in year 10. We get to year 11, record numbers, people coming from all over the world. It's the place to go to. Space, number 1 club. Bang, bang, bang. Year 11. Year 12, same. Year 13, same. 14, same. All these DJs coming in, playing, bang, 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 bang. Now we were told in year 15 that they're going to lose the club on year 6. Lose the club on year 16. We're like, how? It's because Batutis wanted to get the club back based on his loose lease agreement of allowing Pepe at that particular time to have the club, and Pepe was not able to renegotiate the lease on that club. So by 2016, and me being there 16 years. Batutis wanted the club back, wasn't going to renew the lease back to Pepe, and that's how the club was lost. I'm sorry it took that long to get to that point.
No, it's okay. No, you have to explain it. I'm glad you did. Who would know that inside track except you? You lived it.
And that's it. Never looked back since then. And, you know, I mean, look, it's turned into a new entity now called High. They're doing an outstanding job. It's a club for the millennials. And that's what they know. And most of the people that go there don't remember what it was like at Space. So they have no memories of what that club was stood for. For me, it's very difficult to step back into that space.
Oh, I know it is.
Just because of the memories of what it gave me. And you know, if it's got me to where I am today, also because that was the church for Carl Cox. And then as a legacy.
Oh, that was your garage. That was your paradise garage in a sense. You know, certain clubs have certain DJs. When I think of Space, yes, I played Space. Roger played Space. Morales played. But when we think of Space, we think of you right away. You're like the first guy. You know, your night was the night on that island. On that night, Revolution, you know, you had to go. You had to go. If you're on the island and you didn't go, you weren't in Ibiza.
No.
Hold on a second. I want to give you some love too. Hang on. I'm going to cover you for a second. Make sure you get his release, Sand, Moon, and Stars. Very important. This is a hot release. Came out yesterday. He's excited about it. He's making music. It's going up the Spotify streaming chart. Get your hands on it, please. Because I want to make sure we've been talking for a while, thank God. And one other thing, everyone, please subscribe to our newsletter, truehousestories.com. You get all the news and all the things before anybody else does. And also, thank you for helping us produce the shows and helping us with all the lighting and everything. So again, that's another thing. You put out a newsletter. And they contact you and say, oh, we need more of this and more of that. So you start writing all this stuff down. So we got thousands of producers telling us what I need to be doing on a show that we created from nothing. I love that. Honey, did you ever think you needed this? I'm like, I guess now I do. Write that down on the list. We're going to fix that. But Carl, were you heartbroken, man, when that club was done? I mean, because I know how I felt when things changed. That's a big part of your life. Were you heartbroken when that was over, the Space legacy?
Yeah, when you see the last pictures of all the DJs and the punters and everyone in that room at, I think, 12:16 in the afternoon, that club been pumping for nearly 2 days. People did not leave that room. That's the church. That's my home. That was my place where I played some of the most amazing music sets from all the DJs, my own self, from my heart. You can see it every single time I play there. You know, even when I played the 10-hour set, I wanted to make sure that people knew that I played vinyl in that room, as well as all the digital CDs and the computers and all, as a progression. You know, the last record I felt I had to play, I had no problem playing Angie Stone, I Wish I Didn't Miss You, because it also reflects on my history of my funk and soul roots with the Backstabbers backing and her voice was just golden, and you feel at peace with what's going to change. I could have played Strings of Life. I could have played Promised Land. I could have played so many other epic records. One record I never played in that club was that record. That's the only time I played that tune. The very last record at Space. I think forevermore, you hear that record and you almost have a tear in your eye, or you have a tear in your eye because you knew what it stood for. And when the curtains closed, after all of that, all you saw was grown men and grown women cry on each other's shoulders, just going, we cannot believe that our legacy of this club has finished in this way. That club was never done. It wasn't broken. We didn't need to fix it. That could be still the seminal club, still today, that will still be the number one club. But that's what happened. So, and that's a true story.
And that is a true house story.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, my God, that's church, brother. That's like someone closing the church down. And here's another problem. You know, the other issue with Ibiza was, yes, the Millennials Club, but here's the other part that a lot of us older folk said. The bottle service was destroying the whole situation for everybody.
Yeah.
Because the dance floors were getting smaller and what turned out to be a beautiful romantic thing was becoming more like, I need to get the table near the DJ box. So the dance floor was this gigantic open area to this small little, look like the neighborhood bar. I mean, how do you know, most of the clubs are doing that in Ibiza.
Yeah, I mean, Space was always the dance floor. You know, it still remained to be the dance floor club. It had its VIP areas, but it wasn't a thing that swamped the club. Once those VIP areas were done, you were done. And behind the DJ booth, it was still public. Anyone could walk around there, but it was always so busy. But that was one of the most prominent places to be at. Space had the Red Room, which was opposite the DJ booth up, and they used to have that as a VIP. So if you were VIP, you could look down, and then you could really feel the room. There's a sound system up there as well, and that was a great place to be. But it never swamped the club at all. It was just the fact that there was some sort of demand for that type of clientele to come in. But for me, there wasn't the reason why that club existed. It was the punters, the general admission, the ones that just walked in that door like I used to many years ago, and you went everywhere. And so everyone was a VIP at that club. But the rest of the island was becoming VIP. If you look at Amnesia, it only really works well from a financial point of view is if those VIP areas work. If those VIP areas don't work, and then they knew they were having a bad night, didn't matter how good the dance floor was. So, you know, if you looked at a Marco Carola Music On night, the VIPs were always busy. That meant that was a really good night. But, you know, for everything, the atmosphere, everything was really working well. But that club is set up to do that. And everyone else was kind of starting to follow suit in that way because you could make good money from it. If people wanted to spend that amount of money and sit down into a club, and that's what they wanted to do, the Spanish people are not going to sit there and deny it. They're going to go, yeah, no problem. You know, how many bottles do you want? You know, how many strawberries would you like to have? You know, blah blah. You know, it went into this realm, and then for me, you started losing the essence of what the spirit was in the end about being in Ibiza, about clubbing, about the reason why you're there. You know, it was always really hard for me sometimes to see our VIP areas with hardly anyone in them. Because for me, I would say, if there's no one going to be using these VIP areas, then open up to general admission, and which we did, because it was nothing worse than having four VIPs in there and 3 of them are on their phone, you know, checking. Whatever.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Play, and they're on their phones, you know, we get back to you. You're like, it was not a good look at all, at the end of the day. And that's maybe just us being old, because don't forget, we had no distractions back in our early days. No phone, no nothing. It was just us and the dance floor and us bringing the vibe to the place. But nowadays...
How about this one, brother? Ready? So they're actually writing, I'm having a tits of a night. But if you're looking at them, right, they look miserable, like they're like doing a science class. Yeah. It's like, what do you mean? I saw some of these chats. I was in those rooms. I go, that's not what I saw. Because for me, if people hanging off the rafters screaming your name and trying to get your attention, that's the night. Not right now. I'm screaming for Carl to play my record. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, in these times, the best club I think ever was Output, because you went with your mobile phone and they'll go, you could either put it in the locker or put a sticker over the front of your phone. If we see you use it, you're going to get thrown out. So you walked into that club Output, and all you had was people who really wanted to be there for the right reason, and that was the vibe of the club, and they were attentive to listening to your music, and that for me was bringing it back to real clubbing. The reason why, because you have such distractions, most people can make or break your event. They're going to be like, he didn't play my record, and I don't like it here. You know what I mean? You're like, but you don't even, you've been there 10 minutes and already you have an opinion. It's like, and it goes up online and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, I know. I told that to Deadmau5 the other day. They brought me into one of his rooms, Deadmau5, ready? And I said to him, it's nice when you bring your whole entourage. God forbid you say something wrong. And he says, that does my head in every time, because I can't even allow it to be real or be me, because everybody's listening to every word I'm saying or writing every word. So I understand that. Meaning I'm having a fantastic night, can go, this is really a shit night. And 600,000 people have now read, this is not working. So couple of questions I want to ask you. The vaccination. Second, what do you think clubbing is going to be when we do come back in your mind? What are you, visualizing this to be? And are you ready to come back out full force again? Do you feel confident or you're nervous about it? I'm not talking about Australia. I'm talking leaving where it's isolated and coming back to the America side, the Northern Hemisphere. Give us, tell us what's on your mind. Like, what are you thinking?
Okay, so the vaccination scenario is a difficult one, because we don't know what's going into our bodies. We don't. But in saying that, we don't know what's going to our bodies anyway. Whether we have an aspirin, whether we have something for typhoid, whether we don't know. We know it's been tested on animals over the years and all this sort of stuff, which people also don't like. But the thing is about the vaccination, if this is the only way that we can feel comfortable enough to be around other people who've been vaccinated as well, and then that's not a bad thing, because what I don't really want is to not be vaccinated. Go somewhere to an area. It could be a shopping mall. It could be a petrol station. It could be around someone else's house.
Okay.
To find out that someone else has got COVID, they cough, and then they've had it. They don't tell you that they've got COVID, and then you end up with it. And whether you die from it or whether you survive from it, is that not knowing is what's scary about it. I've been living here for a year now, and at the moment the vaccines they've only just started to have people getting vaccine here from last week, and it's been very, very, very slow. I'm going to be the last person at the moment to have the vaccination here at the moment because of my age. I don't live here. I'm not on their radar, actually, until I go. I'm still here. In the UK, on my phone, I've been told that because of my health issues that I've had in the past, that I need to get vaccinated next week. But I can't leave here next week to have that vaccination. So what do? Because then they're looking for me to not have to do.
Right, they have you in the system in the UK, but you're over there. So now what do you do? What do you do?
So here I am. Now, I do have some events to do in August and in September overseas. Tomorrowland's apparently they're going to be going. So I've got events in America, which I didn't do from last time or last year. All sorts of things. The only way I'm going to be able to do any of those events is if I get the jab. If I don't get the jab, that means I won't be flying. The airlines are not going to allow anybody to get on a flight unless you've been vaccinated.
That's right.
They haven't said that yet, but it's going to be
coming, right? You know it's
the
coming?
only way you're going to have to get around. So anyone who said I'm not taking a jab, it's not not for me. It's sort of conspiracy to follow the. Forget about it. Eventually, you're going to have to jab. There's no way that you're not going to want to go around someone's house or whatever and to spinning a roulette. If I don't have the jab, and I do have some sort of initial health problems, and someone does eventually give me COVID, and because of my health reasons, is the reason why I got taken down, that would be a very sad day. So for me, it's an issue. It's something that I'm very conscious and very wary of. I don't think I'm going to rush straight back into the DJ world and rush straight back back onto the dance floor until I know it's actually safe enough to do that. So for me, it's something that I'm not crawling back to do. But I would like to do it in a particular and a safe way for all of us to feel that no matter what happens, at the end of the day, we're all in it together, meaning that we are all vaccinated. Now, I don't think we can get back to where we are unless we do that. I'm no expert. I'm no doctor. I'll just see what's going on here. When this time last year, I got asked about, am I coming back to Ibiza to play? And that was from last year. I said, no. I said, what do you mean no? I said, because
right. What do you mean? All right. What do you mean? No,
because we've got a pandemic and there's people dying and there's cases all everywhere all around the world. And you're telling me that by July it's going to be finished and we will better get back on the dance floor and start moshing against it. Well, I said, no. I said, 2020 is difficult. 2021 is going to be a place where we start to understand where we are. And 2022, hopefully by that time, the whole world has been vaccinated enough that we can feel comfortable enough in each other's company, is where things will start to happen. If that's the case, then that means the social distancing and the COVID safe events and all the 1.5 meters apart is all gone, and then it's a reset, the great reset. This is where we now start to go wonder how we're going to enjoy ourselves with what we've been through, because the last 2 years of all of this has had such a mental effect on everyone, on how we actually do things now, is that we've had to almost wipe the slate clean by what it used to be like to recreate our future by what we believe is going to be like now for our future. So, yes, Al Hudson and the Soul Partners, Spread Love, is an amazing, inimitable record. But in the future, we need to find the next futuristic record that makes sense for us to understand how we deal with the next 30 years within our concept and how we are together as one. Because also there's a lot of people who went raving, went clubbing, went festivals, had a great time for the years, and they know what it was like, almost like Woodstockish type of, we're free, summer of love. We had such a great time.
The summer of love, we had it all, we did it all.
We did all of this to the point where it's like, that's what it's going to be like now after a pandemic. I've had a good time. Now it's time for me to enjoy my family, enjoy myself.
Done. Yeah, I'm done.
I can watch streaming shows from my house. I can create streaming events. You can have Carl Cox on your telly, rocking your front room, with your friends, no problem. Have a great time. I'm not saying that's the only way that things are going to go, but we are heading into the future of where I believe we understand now. And I think that this, in the end of the day, is the next step or the next evolution of where the music will end up. I mean, look, if you listen to trap or drill music or dubstep, they're all sounds. They're all noises and sounds which the now generation understand as new future music. If you listen to a lot of the dubstep, it's a lot of where's the soul?
Right, at home, sing down. Where's the soul? Where's the lyric to sing to?
Where's the vocal parts? And, the only thing that people are waiting for is the drop. They go, you know, they go, boom, boom. Well, if that's the future of music, well, that's where it's going to go. But the people who listen to it have not been to a rave, so they don't know any different. I've got no problem with it. But that's what you got to look forward to. And then you know what?
How do you say that? You said we read that. Kenny Carpenter said to me, "Did you read what Carl Cox wrote?" This is a few months back, and he told me. He said, "Carl wrote something somewhere. They quoted you saying that you felt it was going to go back to basics, to where we all took this from, smaller, intimate. When it does start again, a more intimate atmosphere. We're gonna have to work it and build it again." That's what I feel is going to be the same thing. It may be a lot of it, but I feel it's going to go back to basics, because what you just said is exactly the problem. You don't have the big sound system and 100,000 ravers to understand that music. You're sitting home alone. You've never been to a rave. Where's the soul? Where's the arrangement? And what do you have with that? Nothing. Nothing to go for.
No, it's a very difficult thing. You know, how are you supposed to explain to your next born that this record that went, wow, do, is a classic?
That's great. That's great. You're right.
How do you explain that?
You don't.
You can't. You know, the only way you can explain it is that I went to an EDM event and I stood in front of the speaker system and I just bashed my head, you know, against the air and just go, that was a classic, you know. That's the problem. You know, you got Spread Love and you got the Future Sound. Which one would I prefer to listen to? Of course it would be Spread Love, because you feel something about that record. I mean, there's thousands of them that also have the same energy elements of how it makes you feel. But this is the future. So the future is bright in one sense of it, in one way, but it's also kind of scary because it's taken you to a place of unknown of how it makes you feel. And if that's the music that's going to make you feel, it's quite angry and kind of controversial to a point that, you know, the now generation only wants to make a point on how they feel right now, and they feel like the liberties have been taken away based on this pandemic, which has been, you know, apparently the conspiracy theorists are saying that the government has created to control the now generation. I'm like, well, that's pretty big statement, but meanwhile, there's people. Oh, yeah. So, you know, I mean, what do you want to do here? I mean, for me to come back to America right now is impossible. They wouldn't even allow me to go back to America, even if I wanted to go to America from where I am right now. So, and I have to have a bloody good reason to go to America at the moment based on what's going on there, unless you tell me otherwise. I mean, for me, I was having a great time in America. I've always been in America as much as I possibly can. I've been there every year, you know, for Ultra for the last 20 years and had the most amazing time. But right now, it's not the best amazing time. The thing is, you're going to go into a recession as well to begin with, because everyone hasn't worked. You know, there's no jobs hardly anymore based on what's happened here. A lot of small businesses has gone to the wall. You know, you're not going to want to go to a party based on your freedom and you know, having your ability, you know, your rights to dance. You need to find a way to be able to get to that point by finding a way how you can earn money to get there in the first place. Well, that's going to take time, even just that, to get to that point. Even for me, if you think about, if I'm supposed to be like a billionaire DJ or millionaire DJ or whatever through my DJing, but how much do you think that I've earned in the last year if I've only done 2 events?
Right. And
not that much.
Wait, here we go. Year 2 now. Now we're going into year 2. Same with me. Yeah. Same with Vega. Same with Dave Morales. I talked to all of them. Everybody's life went right up the cliff. Woo! Into that valley.
And we're still looking, actually. I'm waiting for the little bit that you land and you get a little puff of...
And you're like looking down, still going, we're still falling.
100%.
Oh, my God, we're still falling. But yet I'm watching everybody put up these signs in England that June 21st, the clubs are all opening. And I'm like, really? It's going to happen that quick? It's going to be that fast? We're going to have a 10-hour party? Everybody's going to be happy? We're going to be COVID-free? I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's not going to happen. For it to happen, it's going to be a small club, 250 people. Each one can have a jab. Ow.
Right. In, out, right?
Ow. And you can, okay, in, next one. Ow. Next one. Ow. And then you got 200 people. All right, now you're in the club. Hey, COVID-free. Woo. No problem. You can cough as much as you like. It's great. No, it's all good with the world. You leave that club and you go to a pizza joint, or you go to Kentucky Fried Chicken, or you jump in a taxi. You don't know who's got COVID or who has or hasn't. And you got to go back in that club again to get checked again. Temperature check. Or you got your jab meter on your phone. Yeah, you've had a vaccine. Yep, no worries. In you go. Next, 2 more. Yep, you got your vaccine. After a while, people are going to get really pissed off with that. They really are. Is it worth going for all of that for a night out that may not happen? And I'll have to say it's a difficult thing to do. As a DJ, you're going to get people who are pissed off to begin with based on what you have to go through to get to the dance floor. And you get to that dance floor, and you're going to get other people feeling about the same way about the reason why they're there. So the atmosphere is gone, or you're losing the atmosphere. People will put a brave face on it. Yeah, I'm on the dance floor. Ooh, look at me. Taking selfies and Instagram. Yeah, look at me. I'm having a great time, making everyone jealous. I'm on the dance floor. You put the phone away, and then what?
Right.
What music you're listening to? Does the DJ feel really energized by what he's playing, seeing how the dance floor used to be like back in their day and then what it is like now? It's gonna change really dramatically. Do I want to really be involved in that based on what I've done? When you're talking to a man that's played at Love Parade to 1.8 million people for nearly 3 years, to then see a COVID event, a social distance event, based on having a jab and how it makes people feel in the end of the day, no matter how good the music is, you're not getting across in exactly the same way. I'll have to say it's not looking that good, actually. So let's see. And the only thing we could do is hope. I've got some events that are penciled in, like Creamfields, for instance, for me to come and do. I'm hoping if it happens, it's going to be really great. I don't think it's going to be exactly the same grandeur as Creamfields has been in the past, because some of the artists are not even going to be there as well. Like Eric Fritz, for instance, who's going to bring his Halo show to Creamfields. That's not going to be there. And there's other things going on around it, so that makes it smaller. Is it going to be the same as what it was back in the day? Probably not. But are people going to make the best of a bad situation? Probably they will.
Oh, yeah, sure they will.
So, I mean, these are all the great unknowns. I'm only one man that is living the same life as everyone else is living, in the sense of what happens next. Socially, on social media wise, I still get invited to do certain shows, like Danny Tenaglia's show last week, which was phenomenal. The response to that was just great. I'm involved in some VR special events coming up, which one of them called Sensorium, which is just amazing. I do have an autobiography coming out very soon as well about my life. So a lot of stories that you're hearing today will be in that book and more as well. The Sand, Moon and Stars track, which has been signed by BMG, it was something of which came to me based on the football team, Ibiza football team, as their theme tune to their team and their song, and they're doing like a little documentary, and that music is owed, and it's a feeling of which I've given them. So what's happened here is that I've done this little 60-second piece of music, which then turned into a track, which we now have coming up. Remixes by Eats Everything, and also DJ Anna coming up as well on that track. And I've heard the DJ Anna mix of it is really great. So I didn't really make that track for a dance floor or anything. It's just that it was just something that I felt compelled to do based on, me showing people that my love and support for Ibiza is always there. And that's this sound, and that track, when you hear the track in its entirety, will give you the idea of being in Ibiza when you hear it. So it got released on that basis. So the pandemic, in some ways, for me, has enabled me to be able to do these things. And not only that, eventually I will be signed to a record label based on my own new electronic live music, of which I will be taking the preference of DJing will be taking a backseat, and what will be going forward will be me and these electronic machines like the MIDI Moog, a thing called Subharmonicon, Mother 32, all these modules that I've got now, and drum machines and all sorts of great synthesizers. I'm basically pulling everything together and turning myself into the black Jean-Michel Jarre. Who knows? All I know is that I'm having a great time doing it, and I've already done these shows already. You can see them online. Where I've actually done a showcase with what I'm looking to do in my future. So, you know, you can sit down, listen to this music, you can stand up and have a really good time. But at the end of the day, that's what I'm doing to keep my hand into the industry. I'm dipping my toe in the water by what I would like to do next. There is a lot more music coming out of me because I've had time to make music now. Right. Before, I had no time to make music. So that is one really good thing to keep my hand in. Obviously, DJing, as soon as I get out there, I will be giving it all my all on every single aspect of whatever I'm able to do once I'm able to do it.
And but, what we're allowed to do, because
what we're allowed to do. But for sure, somewhere on the line, I'm going to be getting that jab. And whether I turn into a donkey or a monkey, or,
are you radioactive?
Yeah, right. I've got like 5 eyes or something, and 2 lots of ears turn into gills. At the end of the day, I've lived a life. I've had a great time doing this, and this is the narrative of the way we go to move forward. And it's a positive thing, I think, not a negative thing.
No, you look, you laid it down sensibly, the most responsible way of looking at it. You're being practical about it, and you're not sugarcoating it. And that's the truth. Yeah. You're trying to say to everybody, look, this is what we're facing. How we can get through it, we're going to have to take one day at a time. Thankfully, and people are going to probably throw tomatoes at me, 45 didn't re-win. 45 would have killed half this country by the time this is over. 4 more years of that, we would have been, I don't even know if I would have a country to live in anymore.
Yeah.
So at least we have some hope with Biden and the administration. They've been very speedy, working with the WHO. Science is important again. Science, everyone. That they're paying attention to what science says. It's not just, let's come and pull ideas out of our own heads and see if we can make it stick. So, that's very important as well. But we can't say enough about you, bro. You're a legend, dude. Please. You got a resume. First of all, the resume of you working as a scaffold builder was like, wow, I didn't even know that. I was like, whoa, scaffolding, electrics, scaffolder. I mean, talk about, getting your hands dirty, getting sweaty, doing what you need to do for the love of this music. That's called passion, brother. And the money is a trophy, because really it's never a job. I've always said that. The trophies are the money, of course, but what you do is no work. It's never a job because you love it so much.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm sure that through Cabin Fever once more, that people can see that. At the end of the day, it's a gift. Every time that show goes up, you watch it for free. If you want to not watch it at that particular time, this is on Mixcloud, by the way, as a platform, but you want to listen to it whenever you want, it's $3.99. That means it's just under $1 a day, $1 a week to listen to the archives of the last 51 shows and the other shows that I have on there as well from Global, which I used to basically have a radio show, which went on for 15 years, over 700 shows. That's a lot of music, even just that alone. But what can I do? I mean, at the end of the day, I could do nothing. Watch Netflix all day long and just eat banana bread, or
cook and make comfort food, and
or I can share the love of music, and that's always been my.
But here's something that's making me think about this. Why did you leave to live in Melbourne full time? What was the reason for that?
Yeah, so I was always coming to Australia since 1991, where I had the record "I Want You Forever" that came out on Perfecto Records, and it was a big hit UK and Europe wide, but it also crossed over to Australia. So I had an opportunity to promote that record here in Australia through the radio station called Triple J. They had it on their playlist, and then I had some promoters here that could promote me here in Melbourne, Australia, and Sydney and Adelaide. So I came over to promote that record and just really enjoyed being in Australia. I never thought I'd ever be here in my lifetime
They're so
at all.
far away, bro. Every time you go, you feel like you're in another world, like another galaxy. You're so far from everybody, everything.
It's really, really far, and I kind of like the idea of creating a new life for myself if I chose to put my toe in the water to see if I liked it. So every year since '91, I've been coming into Australia to tour and to be here. But I was always staying in a hotel and called the Como Hotel in South Yarra here in Melbourne, Australia. So I just thought, you know what, if I'm coming here all the time, maybe turning the key to the place I would call my home would be something that I would see if I would enjoy. So I did that. In 2003, the place that I'm in now is beautiful. It's in a place called the Mornington Peninsula. I really enjoy being here. It's a place called Frankston South. A lot of people.
I know Frankston. Yeah, it's a suburb. I remember that. Yeah.
Suburb, and a lot of people can't believe that I've actually chosen to be at this place. But I have some amazing friends here. I can live out my car culture and my motorcycling life here very much. So we've got great wineries here. We do our mobile discos here in wineries. We've got great beaches and great attitude to life, people that live here. So since 2003 until present day, my circle of life has been about being here in Australia in October, all the way through until March. Then I leave in March to go back to overseas to America. And if I'm from America to the UK, then I'm normally in the UK all the way through until September, October. And when I come back to Australia again. So I'll try and do the summer, And then that's how it goes. But
sounds like a retirement. Wait, it sounds like a pensioner's lifestyle more than a DJ.
Yeah, I love it. Why do you put the colour still up? You know, it's like
it's like pensioning. It doesn't sound like you're doing DJing. Always following the sun, brother. You're always following the sun.
Always following the sun. But this is the first time I've actually spent like a full winter here, and it looks like I'm going to spend another winter here based on the pandemic. I've kind of really enjoyed kind of being here and enjoying a full year of being at my home here in Australia. And look, I have designs of coming back to see you guys at some point. But at the moment, we still have a pandemic. We're still in a high alert on everything, and people are still sensitive to keeping the COVID cases down, if not zero. We've had 0 cases here for the last 3 weeks, and nobody's been wearing masks. Nobody's been, doing the wrong thing. We're wearing masks inside if we're going into a restaurant or going into a petrol station or even to a food store. I've got no problem with that. Put a mask on. But as soon as I get out of the food store or whatever, that mask comes off.
Yeah, right. Get the air out. Sure, I got it.
Get the air around everyone. People can see you smiling or frowning, whatever, but people miss that, I think. I don't think people got a problem with wearing a mask as a whole, but I think people are upset about the cover-up. They don't know what you think. You can't, you walk past someone, you say, afternoon, good day. And you don't know if they're laughing or smiling or anything. And I think people are not used to that. They're just not used to it in that way. And I think we understand the reason of wearing a mask. And if it works, which clearly it has done here in Australia, and then it's not a bad or hard thing to do because we don't have to have it on 24/7. And actually, as long as you social distance, it's not a problem. It doesn't seem to be a problem. Here, things are getting much, much, much better now, and we've still had 0 cases. So if that's the case, and then they're going to let us leave to go elsewhere, but if we come back, A, we're going to have the jab. B, we're going to have to self-isolate until they are clear that you're okay, and then they'll let you into the country. I don't think that's a bad thing. After everything that we've been through since I've been here, especially with the lockdown, and seeing these cases rise and seeing these rallies and all sorts of things going on, which has created the spikes, to not have any of those things happen here anymore. We're able to basically go to restaurants, go to shows, go to car events or any sporting events, the arts, it's all started to come back slowly but surely, and we still haven't had any cases. So here in New Zealand and here in Australia, they got it right. So me choosing to be here, I think, was always the right in the end of the day.
I think it kept you healthy, alive, and going. We're sorry we don't have you on our side, but right now, who's seeing anyone right now? It's sad. I'm doing more seeing all of you through this television stuff than I actually see people going out. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. It almost feels like the norm.
Now, this is totally normal now. Hanging out and talking. People are sitting home watching us talking about stories, and they're like reminiscing, and it's quite sad, but yet at the same time happy because we do have great memories. Yeah, and we are going to make new memories. We just got to get through this moment, this bridge, this terror bridge, this what's so-called war, as we say.
Yeah, 100%. War. I think of the war on our senses because so many people are so sensitive about anything that you say or you do these days.
Oh, God, Mr. Potato Head's banned here in America. Dr. Seuss.
This like,
no, you know what it is? People got time in their hands, brother. That's the problem. They got time in their hands to look at every little thing and think, let's go after you now.
Yeah.
And for me, the last party that was governing our country, you know, look, racism existed always. We all know that. But here's the difference.
You're never going to go away.
Right. Yeah. It happened. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But when this guy came in, he really drew the line in the sand. And it was clear line. And it was so clear and deep, it just got very ugly. He called people out. He would say, but yet he's not racist, he would say. This is the craziest backwoods thing you would ever hear. How could someone say, you know, I'm not racist, but yet the China virus, this, black people, Spanish people, I'm going to put people in cages. It was crazy what we're living through. And then strawberry on top. COVID is a hoax. It was a hoax. A hoax. Damn right. Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm taking the mask. I'm okay. Only to find out that he wasn't okay at all.
No, there's something wrong in his brain.
Yeah, he wasn't okay. He wasn't okay at all because that was just all a farce. He was just, you know, he would be inside, burning up inside. But on the face of it all, he wanted to show people that he could beat it. This is just a hoax. It's going to go away. It never did that. And to be honest, I mean, look, anyone in power would have had to make a decision based on keeping everyone safe. But unfortunately, he didn't think about that. He thought about himself more than anyone else. And that's quite a shame if your leader, in the end of the day, decided that he thinks that was a good thing to be doing because people are dying around him and still dying even today. But, you know, the one that's there now is trying to help that, not trying to clear up what's been happening, just dealing with the matter at hand, the best way he knows how. Our premier here, I say our, the premier here because I'm still a UK citizen. You know, he really has been a target for hate based on his decisions to keep this country and the people safe. Well, now we got to a point where we are in that point. But what he had to go through every day to give people the details of what was going on for a day-to-day basis was very hard to watch because someone would have had to make a decision, whether it was the person that's in power now or the one that's coming into power, whether it's a he or she. The decision has to be made based on how we get through this. And I think that if you can understand that, in the end of the day, I mean, I would hate to make the decision to say, right, guys, I'm really sorry, but by what I know, at the end of the day, and when the science has been given towards me, we are going to go into lockdown for the next 5 months. You would have, you know, people would not understand that decision to make. You couldn't say that out the back. You have to say 2 months. Oh, another month. Oh,
you have to keep extending it, right? You got to keep extending it.
Oh, another month, you know? But what was happening here is once we got to that point where there was 0 cases and for 2 weeks, we're still locked up with 0 cases after 2 weeks. This is where people were starting to go, what's going on? You better open up real quick now, son, because, you know, things are going to get ugly. And as soon as it started to turn, no masks. They open it up. Okay, we can go.
Fire it up.
Yeah, that's what happened. We did have a situation when they opened it up for the tennis players and the coaches to come in because some of them had COVID and especially at some hotel and there was a bit of a super spreading going on. And then we got the note on the TV again, lockdown, five days. We're like, well, you know what? We've done 5 months, so what's 5 days? You know? But they did it on a weekend of Valentine's Day. So can you imagine all those restaurants and all those places and just mentality with your significant loved one? You're like, yeah, we're going to go out, we're going to eat something. Oh, no, we're not, we're locked down. Huh? So all the places that had all these covers, people, record breaking places to eat, they've got all the food and everything's going to happen this weekend. Got killed in an instant. Wasn't a good decision to make, but it had to be the right one to get to where we are now. So club-wise, I mean, we are at the end of the food chain. The music industry and the entertainment industry and the hospitality industry, in the end of the day, we are on the bottom of the food chain. We have had no government support whatsoever for our industry.
You didn't get the memo? You didn't get the memo because you're not in the UK. You need to be retrained, Carl Cox.
Yeah.
You didn't hear that memo? Because I heard the K-Class guys told me the memo they got. I heard somebody else say to me, oh, yeah, by the way, don't forget, you need to be retrained. Retrained to be doing what as a middle-aged man now? You've played music for 4 or 5 decades, worked in the music industry. What does your CV say? Oh, yeah, I can dig ditches now. I mean, like where do you begin?
No, I was very upset when I heard that because, I put my faith into the business, based on the business that I was involved in and what I was able to elaborate on and to build a career on and hopefully to have other people, follow my lead on where I am as a successful DJ, self-employed DJ, by the way. Only to hear that the government have no idea or what to do with us apart from say, well, your industry is not going to come back, you need to find another job, I think is a massive cop-out. Because we generate billions, around the world for people to really...
Not anymore, brother. Yeah, no, that was pre-pandemic. Nah, that doesn't hold up anymore. You need to become an elevator lift guy. You're going to have to go work for the elevator company now. You're going to do electrical.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really sad that the governing body treats us as if we're the ones that's going to create a pandemic. The clubbing community, us as a whole. But meanwhile, they're opening up, all these football games here and all these sort of things, which you just think that's what's going to cause a pandemic. In the sense of its rising, not the music industry.
No, no, you got that wrong.
Yeah,
the place is going to be clean and serene, and our little dirty clubs are going to create all the problems in the world. It's sad.
It's just not true. It's just.
Should I go drive a truck for Amazon now? I mean, I'll be the guy bringing the boxes in for. I don't know what to do. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, we're joking. We joke about this all the time.
Yeah. And that's the thing, I mean, I've had plenty of memes of me working as a ticket officer in a train station. I'm just like, my God, it's not that bad. But the thing is, I've had to adapt, understand my position, where I am. It's not going to get back to how it was. It just isn't. But for me as an individual, I've come to a point where I just think, okay, well, I think I rocked enough dance floors in my life to move on from the dance floor up to a point. But I wanted to see it come back in the right way. If I can see it come back in the right way, I'm 100% there. If we have to basically work to some sort of controlled ideal of what our industry should be like now, I don't think there is an industry. I think it's going to be very, very difficult to get back to an industry which had that inimitable strength and power of what it stood for back in the day, which was going to be back in the day because it's going to be 2 years down the line since I would be playing at Ultra. And say that Ultra, for instance, they've already basically put out a memo to say there is no Ultra in 2022. In 2021. Sorry, 2022. They're saying there's no Ultra now for 2022. There will be one, but it's 2 years down the line to holding people's deposits based on their tickets. So how are they going to come back full force at the end of the day? And like many other festivals as well, based on that, I like to see it come back in such a way. But I think once the horse is bolted, from the
how do you put it back in the stable?
How do you put that back in the stable? It's a very difficult thing to do. So we can only wait and hope and wish that at some point that that people who do believe in this scene will be there for what we have left, and then basically pick up the pieces from that, and then put the puzzles back together of our scene eventually, which could take years to get to that point. But by that time, things would have changed significantly. Not because I've changed them, but by what I'm saying, it's what's happening around us today.
All right. Look, let's pray. Eat your vegetables. I want Carl's vegetables from his garden. They probably taste amazing. His cake too. And his pound cake is to die for. God, I keep watching him cook. Look what I'm making. You're crazy, brother. I love you, man. You are the bomb, bro. You have insightfulness. You have practicality. You're emotional about it. And that's what makes you you. You're real. And that's what people love about what we do on this show. We're showing people not just that you're up there doing that, but you actually feel and understand what people on the bottom are feeling, Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
You share worries, you share all that,
Yeah, I've done quite a lot of charity work as well within the social medias, and trying to help others. It's been a difficult time for people in Bali, in Ibiza, people in Beirut, everywhere, all over the world. We can only do as much as we can, but with the industry that we have at the moment, especially with what you're doing as well, reaching out to people who are interested in listening to, your ideal of still reaching out and give people something unique and special. This is unique and special. This is something of which may never have happened within the pandemic.
No,
but
not like this.
Here we are. Yeah.
Never.
And that's great.
How would I have gotten you?
Yeah. Well,
I'd be catching you. I know what you would have said to me, bro. I'll try to fit in. I don't know what day where I'm going to be, but I'll try. I mean, because this darkness, there is something to be said. This dark period did bring some light out. Brought out your show. I'm doing this. Morales has got his church mass. Louis does 5 days a week with the World Show with Giles FM's station. Him and I constantly talking. We have changed gears. We're trying to give people hope. We're bringing them entertainment to them. Like you said, things you never would have done. I never dreamed of being a talk show host. I was always interviewed. It was never me interviewing somebody. So for me to do this to you, I can't thank you enough. God, you are a legend. Or should I say a ledge, mate? You are the legend, golden ledge.
You got it.
You are a true legendary figure. You're an ambassador to our scene. You have to keep doing what you're doing, and people are asking me, they're writing this on the chart, on this thing, as I see that a lot of people wrote, are you ever going to come on Clubhouse, which is on, they want you to come on so bad. Come on Clubhouse. You got to get that on your iPhone because they want to hear you speak more. And I do a wrap-up show on Thursday, so let me see what time that would be. That's 3:30 in the afternoon New York time. That would be, I guess, around Friday morning sometime. Right. They don't want you to come. They're like, please tell them to come on. I'm like, I'll mention it. So if you don't know what it is, check out what Clubhouse is. It's a cool app. Elon Musk, a lot of people, that's how I spoke to Deadmau5. I've been speaking to a lot of people that I would never speak to because they're not in our genres. But because of this Clubhouse, it's crazy. Like I said, the most craziest thing is with all this dark stuff going on, we've all been able to cross-platform. You're doing gardening. Yeah. I'm an interviewer. It's just like crazy, bro. And we knew about the race car driving. That I knew. I knew that for a long time. I knew you have a love. You're a petrol head. We know that. But this thing about, you gardening, and I'm like, really? Really? But, it is therapeutic, bro. It is therapeutic.
It is. It is. When you see something, from seeds, from nothing, and you just start seeing something coming up through the soil, and you're just thinking, wow, I'm actually nurturing this to become whatever I've planted in the end. And I feel responsible for it to take its path at the end of the day, and to be able to understand that that's what our life's all about. Looking after each other, be responsible for who we are as people. At the end of the day, look after each other, and if you do that, then the leaf won't fall off. If you don't look after each other, your leaves fall off, and it die. Wither and die. So at the end of the day, it's been really good for me to be able to.
But everything you said tonight, everything you said this morning, your time, and going to the afternoon, and tonight has been the same principle with you. And it's funny you say this. Everything you've done is from a seed. You've said, I've never been handed anything. I grafted. I worked hard. No matter what you did. I built the club from nothing. I built the sound system from nothing. So you do have that mentality of building. You're basically a builder. You come in and then annihilate everybody with music. And you kill them. Pa, pa, pa. But I'm saying is behind the scenes, you are a true grafter, farmer, engineer, architect, all those things all wrapped in one. And that's what makes you the person you are and success. Good on you, brother.
Thank you. Really, it's been amazing to be here with you, Lenny, and to basically tell this story, because in some ways I haven't really told this story, in any length as well.
I've never heard this story like this. Everyone, you got this? Get your pen and papers out. Never heard a lot of things. I was like, wow. Excellent.
Yeah, and that's my life in not some in a nutshell they call it, but it's. Look, there's a lot more, so much more. We could probably be, for another 3 or 4 days. A lot of it will be elaborated.
What is the biography called? What will the biography be called? And when?
Yes, oh yes. It's called Oh Yes, Oh Yes. That's it.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Because of when this whole thing came about. Because when I got on the mic, when I was playing my music, I just wanted to, know how people were feeling. And they'd be like, yeah, Carl Cox and dance, woo! And I'd be like, oh yes. And then as soon as I did that, and I'll take the bass out of the track and I go, oh yes, oh, and the last yes bit, oh yes, oh, boom! And then, oh yes, and then people are like, I'm losing this shit. So that's how that came about. It was kind of like my tagline, but I kind of used it as a sense of timing of how I introduced my music. When
the book is out, I'm going to read this. Will you come back and tell us another story again? Will you come back? Because people are asking, will you come back to give us some of the other anecdotes? Because we would like to talk to you after we come back.
Totally.
Feeling.
Oh, totally, 100%. I love doing things like this, and even more so because it's a good insight that people don't know about. They only see the private jets and the big cars and the people around me and this kind of lifestyle. They don't realize, to get to that type of lifestyle, how hard that I had to work, and I'm still working hard to be even just to maintain a lifestyle, not the lifestyle. I mean, the thing is, people think that I have my own private jet and my own, boats and everything else.
Wait a minute, wait. You're not a billionaire.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's funny that, apparently, so here's a thing for you. Only last week, I think, apparently there was a quote on my self-worth, or something like, I think, $19 billion I'm worth. 19 billion. I'm thinking, that's nice. Well, I think my tax man might have something to say about that, because I do pay my taxes.
Wait a minute. So you're up there with Bill Gates and them and Microsoft. You're at that level.
Billion. 19 billion. I'm like, that would be nice. It's ridiculous. It's just like, come on, guys. It's 16 billion, okay? It's not 19. Come and get it right.
Let's get it correct. 18.256.33.
There we go. That's the correct amount,
Yeah, because they all think it's endless, mate. Come on. They don't realize the expenses you had too, you're carrying, the staff. Everything costs money. Yes, you're getting paid a lot, but you got a lot of expense too you got to carry.
Yeah, well, I built it up over the years. And of course, it's fallen off a cliff, so not everyone's getting paid until otherwise, But the thing is, it's, you just have to roll up your sleeves and get on with it. My radio shows and my streaming shows, and it's all based on that. There's nothing coming in on any of this, because if we do any of these streaming shows, all 100% of the money goes to the charity that we choose, all of it. So we really are giving up our time to do these things. And Cabin Fever, for sure, which takes a lot more than me putting a USB stick into a CD player, to actually do those shows, I've got to find those records and then put them together. And then if you think about it, as soon as we go to go live with those shows, it's a one stream show. There's no edits. There's no, can I go back on that and do it again? There's nothing. It's live as you see it. I put the needle on the record and I produce those shows from beginning to end with nothing but live elements to all those shows. And I've had needle go across the record. I've had a mix jump out.
That's okay.
I've had all these things go. I'll just go, well, that's final. That's how it is. The mistakes are made, and sometimes they're not your own mistakes as well. It's just how it is. It's a transparent show. I don't have anything to hide behind. As soon as I go, I've never done a pre-record in a way that I have to go back and edit the show. It's how you see it, and that's it. And that's how it always was. When you went to DJ, you never DJed to go out and do edits on your shows. No. That was it.
What you heard, what you saw, it was it. What's went out to air.
That's it. And that's it. Can you imagine how difficult that is for a lot of the now DJs to do that? They probably couldn't do it and probably don't want to do it because most of it, they want to be perfect on everything that they're involved in and created. I mean, there's nothing perfect about anything in these days. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. But all you can be is insightful, passionate. You know, you're into your position that you're in. That's why I'm always smiling when I'm on the show. I'm always dancing away. I'm always enjoying the moment of what I feel in front of me. Whether I'm on playing vinyl or whether I'm playing the CDs or whether I'm making my music, there's always this little thing inside me that makes me happy in knowing that I'm sharing the love of what I'm creating. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If other people on the other end of it are also feeling something special about the moment that they're sharing with me based on what I'm still giving to everyone else. And that doesn't have anything to do with wealth whatsoever.
Excellent. Thank you so much. God, man, you are, like I said, you're a plethora of it all. Do us a big favor. Stay healthy. Stay safe. Don't go anywhere. We need you.
I don't go anywhere. No way.
You stay as long as you can. We're losing some good people around us lately. I don't want to lose any more.
Yeah, no, I hear you, brother. And like I said, I'm eating more vegetables than I normally have done at any point in my life because they're growing, man. I can't just kind of give them away. You got to consume.
You got to consume. You got to consume what you grow. Well, 100%. Somebody wrote real quick. Somebody wrote, he has been retrained. He's gardening. It's true. You have been retrained. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today, Lenny. You're incredible, brother.
To share our stories together as well. And like I said, you've been there as much as I have as well. So if anyone knows, you know.
I know the other side. I know the black dance side of it. The soulful house side. It's not an easy job. It's not an easy. It's the same thing. It's different, but the same. The story's the same. The flights, the stress. But I'll tell you what, I miss it. I miss it. God, yeah. I miss it. And I know you must be thinking, well, we're going to get it someday, but we don't know how we're going to get it, but we're going to get something. So whatever we get, we'll take it. Because I'm going to take whatever you throw at me. Whatever crap you got. I was telling Ralphie D the other day. I said, Ralphie, whatever you get here in New York, I says, I'll come play on the toilet bowls just so I can play when it's time. Just so I can do something. Because you forget about the money. You just miss the crowd, the socializing, hanging out. That's the part we all loved as DJs.
Yeah.
The whole social side of it,
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I miss about it most of all, because, all my life I've done nothing but share the love of music to people who choose to, or not choose, like to listen to and enjoy it. And I haven't been able to do that because virtually it's impossible to touch or feel that person's energy. It goes out, but you can't feel it coming back in. You only hope that it goes out and be understood by what you're giving out as well. And that's the thing about it. There's no purpose to what we do apart from the reason why we do it. And the reason why we do it because we love it. And that's it. There's nothing, science about that. It comes from the heart at the end of the day. If it doesn't come from the heart, and then don't do it. It doesn't. It won't mean anything if you're just doing it because you want the adulation or you want to see what's going on here. I've got a friend of mine just come up and says, "Brilliant interview," and that's why a friend of mine called Habs Akram and. Hi guys, how you doing? It's been brilliant. The amount of people that's been coming onto the show today.
Oh my God! This is people that it's like Marsha Carr, another female in London, friend of ours. Yeah. They're like thanking you, me, and and our insight. It's just they love you, brother. Come on. Come on, we all love you. It is what it is. I can't wait to see you. That's it. Tell me you don't miss that, and I'm gonna let you go. I tell people the biggest thing I miss, and this is the problem with dance music. How do I not go up to you and go, yo, and hug? Tell everybody how often we do that. That's part of the culture of what we do. We see each other, yo, what's up? Going crazy, right?
It's very true. I mean, if you look at the embraces with most of the DJs, female or male, it's always done with love. The embrace is always done with understanding and respect for each other. And we've always done that. That's what's made our community so great for so long and still going through it, even in this pandemic times. So we will break out on this and we will get there eventually in our lifetime. It's going to happen. It will. It won't happen quickly, but it will happen. And that's where I will be able to come back and embrace you once again like I had back in the day. Okay.
Stay safe, brother, man. I'm going to wish you a good day in Melbourne. And you know
Thank
what?
You.
Please be careful. Don't go 200 kilometers an hour with the motorcycles. Be careful. I know you're freaking a speed demon. Be careful. I see you getting your petrol. I'm like, please, God, please don't do anything crazy. It's like, come on now. I know you like to push the accelerator. You got a heavy foot. Hobbs told me, we were talking about it. He said, Carl likes to push red. Let's push red. And that doesn't mean sound system. He likes to see red.
It's very true. But I do like to be competitive in this way. And if it doesn't feel right when I do any of these runs, I do pull back. But if it feels good, I'm in.
Full power. Scotty, full power, thrusters, push forward. Yeah, but you play the same way. Boom. Full power.
I don't lift. It's either on or it's off. I don't lift. I just keep it on, and that's how I play. I remember playing at Space, and when I always go on at 3:00 when back in the day, and then I'm just like 3:00, 4:00, 5, and I'm just kind of like just going through the motion. You're in the zone, but I've got more power the last 2 hours than I did when I started. So it really is all about that redlining and just next tune. And the next thing, 7, 8 o'clock. No one can keep up with me in this way. It just can't. They've got to go in and out of my sets. There's some people that try and do it, and at the end of it, they're like, me included. But it's just the way I am. I just keep turning it on, just a little bit more. Doesn't mean it's pitched anyway. It's the feel and the vibe of the records.
The energy, the power of the record, right? The power.
It's fusing them together, which creates the energy and power. And that's how I've adapted to most of my life with anything that I do. I always try and strive at being the best at it, and being someone that has the ability to do it. In some ways, that makes me who I am. That's the Carl Cox sound. That's what's got me where I am, and hopefully, even in these pandemic times, that people still follow, me based on what I do, and that's still, spread the love of music.
Good Lord Almighty!
Right on. All right,
right on, brother.
Nice one, Lenny.
I'll see you soon. Hopefully, have a good one. Thank you so much. I'm going to read.